Good evening, everyone. This is the January 11th, 2023 meeting of the Moscow Planning and Zoning Commission. Happy New Year. Welcome, everybody. Special welcome to our new City Council liaison, Gina Teruscio. Welcome.
You.
We're glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
We have a full crew minus one. I understand that there's a potential applicant for the vacancy that at possibly the next meeting we will have a new member. So stay tuned for that. So with that, we'll get on with the meeting. And first item is approval of the November 16th, 2022 minutes. I can't believe it's been that long since we met. So do we have any additions, corrections, deletions? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
So Victoria moved, second. Scott second. And are we still doing roll call? Okay, so Scott, starting with you.
Aye.
Joel?
Abstain. I was absent.
Okay, and Dennis?
Aye.
Aye for me. And Victoria and Rich?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. This is, I'm sorry, Cole. My apologies. That's,
Does Cole need to wear a dunce's cap?
we need to have
We
you
need
up
to do
here.
something
Yeah.
about that, Cole. So sorry.
We need a bigger
I'll sit
area
there.
here. So next item on the agenda is a public comment period, 15 minutes for public to speak on issues not before us or the city council, but I believe we don't have anybody in the audience. So we'll move on to the next item, public hearing, legislative hearing, providing for the amendment of Moscow City Code Title 4, Chapter 6 regarding self-storage facilities. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So before you tonight, we have a project the Commission's been working on for the past year. This is a hearing providing for the amendment of Title IV regarding self-storage facilities in the city. So currently, zoning code and North American Industry Classification System definition define self-storage facilities as establishments primarily engaged in renting or leasing space for self-storage. These establishments provide secure space, an example, rooms, compartments, lockers, containers, or outdoor space where clients can store or retrieve their goods. Currently permitted in motor business and industrial zones, then a conditional use permit in the ag, forest, and farm ranch zones within the city. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with a self-storage facility, but this is an example of one of our newer facilities. This is Rodeo Drive, Main Street, and then Jefferson Street there to the east has some residential. Moscow Building Supply is south, and Meineke is there to the west. And this is a view of that facility looking to the southwest.
What is the zoning there?
It's motor business, and then the adjacent residential zone is going to be the R3 designation along Jefferson Street. So you can see in this instance, there's a type A buffer that's provided. Actually, it's probably more intensive than a type A. Just because it's motor business up against R3 between the self-storage facility and the residential. You can see that. Great. You got this on the left side of your screen there.
Funny.
Let's see, click twice to change. Oops. Can never really get the pointer to change. I think we're stuck with the flashlight. So it's really the impetus for self-storage facilities in order to change the code to allow more facilities within the city. The city continues to encourage a range of different housing types to be developed, some of which are constructed on smaller lots, which have limited storage space. In order to accommodate these developments, they'll allow for more efficient, innovative housing types. So it'd be increasingly imperative that the adequate number of storage options are available within the city. And then currently limited areas within the city to allow self-storage facilities. So we're kind of running out of area of motor business zone property, industrial zone properties, fairly limited. We've been trying to transition that property to the south end. I believe only St. John and MZ or Lightcast now are the only industrial zone property within the city. As well as self-storage facilities tend to be low impact use with minimal traffic and parking requirements, limited hours of operation, and no water and sewer demands. They typically tend to be fairly good neighbors to other low impact uses like residential or low impact commercial. So looking at the proposal, we'd amend the use table to include permitted uses subject to use standards. So in R3, R4, RO, and neighborhood business, you can see there in red the superscript with a numero 0 there, or numero 1, just referring to subject and specific use standards within that section of the code. So that'd be the proposed zone, so we'd insert it subject to those use standards. So this would be the use standards section entitled self-storage facilities. You have an applicability and purpose statement at the very beginning that we typically always have. So it states that the following standards are intended to ensure that the design and operation of self-storage facilities that are located in certain zoning districts are compatible with the surrounding area and minimize their impacts on adjacent uses. We have a minimum property size, which is a ½ acre for storage facility development. Property setbacks exceed kind of the underlying zoning district setbacks. They're a little bit larger than your typical setbacks within the zoning district. So front and street size will supersede corresponding requirements in the zoning code. Building orientation, access doors shall face the interior of the site. This shall not apply to storage units that are accessed within an enclosed structure. So the idea here is to minimize kind of a nuisance to adjacent properties if the doors are accessed via internally. Building height shall be limited to 14 feet at the eaves, which is the typical accessory structure height for residential zones. Hours of access shall be limited to 7 to 10 p.m., 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The landscape buffer, which is a type A buffer, shall be installed around the perimeter of the property. Vehicular travel aisles that are used for internal circulation shall be not less than 20 feet in width, shall meet paving standards within our code. Indoor storage, individual storage bays with self-storage facilities should not be used for any other use than dead storage. And then outdoor storage, we had quite a bit of conversation about this. So typically some self-storage facilities, you see a hybrid where there are some RV and boat storage. So we state that no outdoor storage shall be permitted with the exception of RV and boat storage. And then RV and boat storage must be located at the interior of the site and not visible from any adjacent streets or properties. In order to achieve proper screening of outdoor storage areas, self-storage facility buildings at the exterior of the site shall include a shed roof design. Slopes to the exterior of the site, building walls that face the interior shall be 14. And the building walls face the exterior shall be 10, so shedding to the exterior of the site. Architectural standards, just a statement stating that the use of reflective, bright or metallic colors on buildings or structures shall be prohibited. And then lighting shall be full cutoff. The freestanding light shall be limited to 14 feet in height. And then there's a separation distance, proximity to residential zones within the suburban residential R1, R2 zones. If those are adjacent, facility needs to be within or greater than 300 feet from those zones. And then the perimeter of the facility needs to be fenced, walled, or enclosed and screened from public view. So that's the crux of the amendment, and staff's recommendation is, after conducting the public hearing and consideration of testimony received, recommend approval of the proposed ordinance to City Council. And I'd certainly discuss or try to answer any questions you have.
So questions for Mike?
And what does full cutoff mean?
Just means that the fixture, no light projects above the horizontal. So if you were to draw, you have your light fixture and you were to draw an imaginary horizontal plane along the top of it, that no light projects above that. So it's typically just, downlight, directed downward.
It's all about that dark sky.
Dark skies.
Any other questions for Mike? Okay, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. And with that, this is going to be the world's fastest public hearing. We will open the public hearing, and seeing nobody in the audience, we will close the public hearing. So, do you want to have any additional discussion, or are we ready to proceed to recommend this move on to City Council?
I recommend it moves on to City Council.
Okay, so Victoria and Dennis second. So we'll start, Cole, we'll start with you. Rich?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Aye.
Nels, aye. Dennis?
Aye.
Aye.
And, okay, so we'll move that on to city council. So
Great.
great. Nice job, Mike. Thank you very much. Appreciate the work you did on that. As I was rereading that today, I think we did a pretty
Carol.
good, thorough job of allowing it to happen because there's certainly a need, but also protecting the properties that are that they're adjacent to or near. So I think it was great. I'm really pleased with that. So the next item is approval of the reason statement for relative criteria and standards. Now, there's 3 sets of those. Mike, can we consolidate the motion to approve for all 3, or do you want separate?
You can consolidate them unless there's scribners or other changes on individual ones.
So anybody have any issues as you read through them? So we had one for the comprehensive plan, one for the rezone, and one for the plat. Do I have that correct? So I suspect that our motion ought to indicate that we're approving all 3 of those. So do we have any corrections to make? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve. So Dennis moved. Do we have a second? And second from Victoria. So Scott, we'll start over with you.
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Aye. No?
Aye.
Aye.
Victoria? Rich? And
Aye.
Nicole? Okay, so approved. Very good. And now the dreaded next item of business. I have to say, I think organizations benefit from periodic change in leadership. So I certainly would like to see us consider a new chair.
You're doing wonderful.
Hey, not necessarily when you're doing such a good job.
I hope you're,
So
Well, not too.
maybe I
We
should.
considered it. Okay?
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So it will. I appreciate that. Thank you. I guess it kind of goes to the old adage: if nominated, I will not run; if elected, I will not serve. I'm not saying that, but next year I probably will say that. So we'll take this
We'll breathe.
next year or two. But I guess we really need to have somebody nominate, don't we?
I nominate Rob as the
Yeah.
chair.
Thank you.
I second it.
Okay.
Are you getting tired?
Well, I'm almost perpetually tired, but no, of the job. No, I like this group. This is a great group to.
I'd like to say that's I think things have been going rather swimmingly well. And even though I don't disagree with you, it's always nice to, you waited for a while to, you were on the commission for a while before so I think it's a good move.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You know what? And we need a vice chair. I like having Dennis as vice chair. He's a great job. I would nominate. And Rich, you've been our second vice. Are you willing to continue serving in that position?
Sure.
So I think what let's do is let's just take that slate. So I'll be chair, Dennis vice chair, Rich second vice chair, and we'll elect. And do we need to do a roll call vote on that as well? Have to do that as well. Okay.
I would start with making a motion that we accept that those
Okay.
3-person slate.
Okay, so thank you. So a motion by Joel to accept the slate
And I second that.
and Nell's second. So Cole, we'll start with you. And Rich?
Aye.
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 Aye?
Aye.
And aye. Okay, so officers are elected. Next year, we'll have another discussion about this. Next item, Transportation Commission report, Joel.
And that's easy. The transportation meeting scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled.
Oh, dear.
So we haven't met for a while. So it's a short report.
That's great. Well, okay, we like short reports, short meetings and short reports. A couple things before we move to adjourn. We've talked about three issues that we kind of wanted to move toward in the spring. One of them was a meeting with city council. So I don't know, Mike, we talked about that, I guess maybe in October or November. Is that still something that would be of interest?
Yeah, I think that's on the council and administration's radar as far as
It
getting
is,
together. Yeah,
okay.
I think they were pegging maybe springtime.
Okay,
sometime. Yeah.
so will they initiate that action for us then, or?
Yeah, we'll discuss that with administration and see. I'll give an update maybe next meeting.
Okay.
as to-
The other thing that I wanted to follow up on, we talked about some more discussions on affordable housing. And Jennifer sent out an article today or yesterday. And while I don't know that we need to talk about it tonight, I would encourage everybody to read it. And I'd like to get Nils back in here and then make that kind of a part of the discussion. This article was equating homelessness to affordable housing. And I don't know that that's our local issue necessarily, but the affordable housing discussion, I think that we should have that again. So I'd like to reach out to Nils and invite him back in for a conversation. I think that was a good discussion that we had. So I don't know, Mike, is that something that you could,
Sure.
and then I'm kind of thinking in terms of maybe a 3 or 4 month time frame here, that sometime this spring that we would do these things. And then Gina, it'll come back to you. I'd like to get back on a water discussion as well
Right
with
on.
you and Tyler.
Okay.
So I think like we did last year? I think we had you here earlier in the year.
Might have been. was it
So I'd like
pre-COVID?
to
I think it's last year's.
keep that on the radar.
Or was it pre-COVID?
You know, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember exactly the date, but I think it would be appropriate to have that conversation. And, you know, we can have Tyler come back in, or Gina, you and Tyler jointly do that. But you're still the PVAC rep, aren't you?
Well, up until the next meeting, and then I think it gets handed off.
Okay.
And I'll figure out who that is.
Okay. Well, you'll be here anyway.
Right.
So yeah,
Oh, it's Sandra. Be way more fun than
it
me.
is. Okay. That's not possible.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, you know, just kind of for our future, we're looking kind of at those three issues, the session with city council, affordable housing and water. And then as other issues come up, obviously. So,
Yeah, for June, because I'm the one that brought up needing to, council and P&Z needing to have a better understanding of some things. And then Mike said we could have a joint meeting. But a lot of it has to do with that we're dealing with codes. And just because something is a MCI, major challenge area, and the council would like to gear towards something like affordable housing, doesn't mean we can go to any subdivision that comes forward to us and say,
Yeah.
if you don't want affordable housing, we're not going to let you do anything. So there needs to be a better understanding of how that code structure works between council and us in general.
I completely agree. Completely agree. You're thinking a workshop kind of a thing? Or a,
Yeah, I think it was discussed, maybe just getting the P&Z and council together just to discuss, you know, potential maybe code amendments to promote maybe smaller lot size, you know, maybe some things we could do in the code, maybe reduce lot sizes and widths to promote more affordable, smaller, housing. And how we could facilitate that and just to have a conversation.
It would also be nice,
really good idea.
because even before I was on here, I sat in the audience for 5 years before I came up here. But they did accessible dwelling units. They did twin
Yeah.
homes. They've done a lot of things that were incentives to help bring the cost down. And it's been long enough. It's been, quite a while. Not everybody on council is even aware of that.
Right.
And every time you read literature, it says, do accessible dwelling units.
Yeah.
We have, and
Yeah.
we've amended it again to make it even more easier. And so there needs to be a better understanding that when that gets thrown out, do these things, we've done these things. What else can we do? And Idaho does not let us do very much. And so that has to be understood too.
At the risk of sounding old, I'm the longest tenured counselor, and I remember in the dim reaches of my memory the ADU moment. I don't think that's a commonly held memory.
Nope.
So I do think included in this meeting should be what we've done towards affordable housing. And then I do think we need to have an understanding that we cannot create barriers to entry.
Mhm.
And we can't make it so difficult that developers scream and run.
Mhm.
So it'll be an interesting conversation.
Dennis?
I just wondered, how many of you went to see the little house that's built over on Palouse? Anybody go to that? As I know the mayor was there, but one of the things that Nels can talk about when he comes is now they've finished the house, and I don't know that it's been rented or bought, but it'd be interesting to just, and the little house is kind of a way to bring high design into affordable housing. Typically, we might presume that if we're going to do affordable housing, it'll be
Townhouse.
bare minimum, it'll keep you dry, but nothing too fancy. And this is a case where we've got flashy architects from outside the state of Idaho to assist in, and so it'll be interesting to have Nels talk about how it's going right now and whether, if it looks like it's as rosy as it was. And I think one of the issues is even like Habitat, comparing it to Habitat is interesting, but neither Habitat nor this project with the little house solves many problems. It's a great move. I mean, I don't want to misstate myself. In my mind, we have bigger problems with both homelessness and people who can't afford housing than just one little thing here and one little thing there. That's, I think it's wonderful to do,
Well,
but we need 20 little things,
Nils has been on record. I think he was in the paper, and then he came and talked to us or something. But he said the same thing. Habitat does one house a year. We're going to do an average of 5. 6 houses don't solve the problem. You need 60 or 600.
Right, it is.
And he said that, so you're not misquoting him.
Yeah, no, but I think that we need to, I don't know how many, I was hoping maybe a few of you went over. It's a cool little place. I would love to live in that little house the day I graduated. It's not a good, it's
Not for
not a
us old
family
people.
size place, but it is, it's cool, yeah. Anyway.
No, I
I think
agree. Maybe we could even have a field trip, and we'll see what we can work out with Nils, but I think that'd be great.
And I have one other thing since you're thinking about meetings, what about I don't know that there's any problem, but I wouldn't mind meeting with the county planning and zoning again. It's been years since we really met. And I think it would be just helpful just to get to know each other and share a couple of issues maybe of what they're looking at and what we're looking at.
That's a great idea.
We did have some fractious meetings a few years ago because when we were struggling with what area of impact was, there were different opinions across the state of Idaho about what area of impact certainly was. And I think we're a lot in safer ground now than we were. For a while, we were stretching our arms out away from town a little far, and it caused the county to be.
Interesting. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I like about what we're talking about here is that we're kind of setting a broader agenda for the year. What we're going to talk about, we're going to meet with city council. We're going to talk about affordable housing again. We're going to talk about water. Water and affordable housing are things that I think we're going to come back to every year. I really like the idea of with the county. So if we could kind of lay this out over the course of our other regular business, I think that'd be super. I like that a lot.
I would second Nels's comment about meeting with the county. I think that's potentially useful, and I would like to be reminded of the extent to which the area of city impact still is outside the city.
Yeah.
I think we've used up much of the area of city impact in terms of some of the actions we've taken in the last year or so. And we may have even poked through the perimeter in some cases.
Yeah, it seems to me that if we invite the county, that would be a key topic to just get them to share our ideas about area of impact and what that means, because maybe one of the more intense meetings that we've had recently is when we start to edge just outside city limits and people think they've been in the county. I bought in the county. I'm going to be in the county till I die. Well, maybe not. Maybe that isn't the case. And so I think we just need to remember that that's a sensitive issue, I guess, with people who live on the edge of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this is kind of related to that, and I think it's a great idea. I really would like us to work that into our schedule. But aren't we going to have a comprehensive plan update coming up here? Don't we have to do that every 5 years? And
Hasn't.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, last update was 2019.
It was 19.
So
Okay.
yeah, usually we shoot for about 10 years, review after 5 years to see if anything needs to be updated.
Okay, it was the review that
Yeah,
I.
kind of the hard fast rule
Okay.
is 10 years to have a new comp
So we've got
plan,
at least another year before.
But yeah, we usually review it every
Okay.
5 years.
Okay.
So
No, this is great. Mike, I know this throws a lot out at you, but
great. No.
I think these are all really workable. Any previews for what's coming up next meeting on the 25th?
We have a rezone request, so we'll have a public hearing. It's fairly simple. You'll probably have to recuse yourself, Rob, because it's another action on Anderson with Jim Swift's project.
Okay. That's Gina. I don't know if we've had a couple of issues. Jim Swift's project, and as you recall,
Indeed.
he built our house, so I've been recusing myself from those.
Excellent.
So, but Dennis has done a great job of handling those public hearings. So thank you. Now you get to,
Right?
you got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So, Gina, anything you'd like to mention?
I show up for this meeting, and then the next one I'm going to be down in Boise for Education Week, and so I will call in for this meeting.
Terrific.
So yeah, I'll be the little black box next to him.
Okay,
Thank you.
super.
So-
That's great. Well, we're really glad to have you here.
Thank you.
When you said that you were the longest serving council member, it kind of took me back because it didn't seem all that long ago.
It doesn't to me either, but I think I had dark hair when I started.
Still do that to you.
Yeah.
Victoria?
I don't think there was, I was going to bring it up.
Yep.
I don't think there's, I read it. It's been what, a month now or something? What do I remember? Not a lot. Other than, you don't have it.
Oh, yeah,
We
no.
get these every 6 weeks or something.
Cool.
Same old as far as I'm concerned. I don't know that we need to spend time on it. It did mention that one of the holes in affordable housing is the middle level, because everybody thinks about affordable housing as just the low
Mm-hmm.
end. And there is a high end that there's a shortage of, which maybe I'm less concerned with individual, but there is a middle level and it should not be overlooked.
Agreed.
But that was really the only thing I saw here that we
Yeah.
haven't seen in some other version. So personally, I don't want to take time.
Well, I was, unless somebody else wants to bring it up, I was
Going to say
I was
something.
going to move on past that, yeah. So, okay, anything else for this is kind of a short meeting, but an important one, Nels?
Just something that isn't related to much to our life, but you may know that there's occasionally a house gets built in the middle of the city, and one's being built across the street
Yeah.
from my house. And on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be an open house. So it's a rather attractive house. And so for those of you who are just interested in what goes on and what's happening on the corner of 3rd and Hayes, I believe there'll be an open house on Saturday.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
a pretty good job fitting that house
Beautiful,
into the
yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's above standard
Yeah.
construction, I would say.
Fits right.
It's been just, not that it's of any interest to the rest of the world, but for me, it's been a really fun summer because I can get up and wander outside with my coffee cup and go over and see how the next nail that's going to be driven. And so it's been interesting to see. We've had, I guess we've had really just 2 new houses built. The one that caved in,
Oh. Yeah.
that was built in Fort Russell, and now this isn't in Fort Russell, but it's nearby.
Wasn't that area, did that area get added to Fort Russell?
Fort Russell ends right on the corner of 3rd and Hayes, so it goes right down the center of the street.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't reach across 3rd at any point. No.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
Oh, that's
I
great.
think it's a very attractive place, and just stop by it. They'll probably give a cup of coffee or something. I think the builder, which is a company called Citadel at this point, are just trying to let people know that they build good houses.
Interesting.
Question? You got a question?
Oh, just saying, speaking of Fort Russell, I don't know if anybody's mentioned, they swapped out the street signs with the Fort Russell logo in the district.
Oh,
So they've got, just like downtown, when it has the historic logo on the street sign, they've, streets department over the last year has been swapping out. We have a Fort Russell logo, and so those are white because they're residential. instead
And
of
some
black.
are up now?
Yeah, they're all up.
All up?
Yeah.
Wow, where have I been? I must have been
having coffee across the
my
street.
head in the sand.
But this,
Watching the
I-
house
Oh.
be-
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning.
it's funny.
So I was just wondering about Gateway Project. We haven't seen it complete. I thought it was supposed to start building last fall or something. And anyway, it seems to have fallen off the radar, and I was just curious.
I think there's been market challenges with proceeding with that project, but I did speak with Rusty a few weeks ago, and it's looking more positive as far as heading, the rents and some things are looking more positive to maybe start proceeding with that project. So
I've had a few people
Which one is
ask
that?
about
Is this the
Senior
one
living
down
in
on,
condos
off
and
6th
that
Street?
behind Patty's
Gormley.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
Gormley Park, right across from Gormley Park,
Oh,
that one.
that one, I see, because I think they're going out for a redo
Yes.
on 6th and Jackson.
Yeah, that's
Legacy Crossing.
That's Legacy Crossing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
That's
had a few
also-
people ask about like senior housing and condos and things like that, and that would be one.
Mhm.
And it hasn't gone forward, so I can't tell them anything other than, well, it was supposed to be going forward.
Interesting. So anything else, Scott, Joel, Dennis, Rich? Yeah, cool. Mike, anything else for the good of the order?
Nothing from staff. no.
Okay, and Jennifer? No, okay, well, thank you for putting up with this. So with that, we will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Maybe I shouldn't be thanking anybody.